Hello everybody, this is Pounding Rocks, checking in again. I was wrong about the video count. We're close to 60 videos on this thing, and boy am I getting just like to the point where just run already. My God. My goodness. Wow. And the worst part about this whole setup is that it hasn't run yet. So I haven't seen what other problems are going to crop up yet. I know that's very negative and glass half empty. I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what the next batch of problems is going to yield. But um yeah, it's been a journey and 3/4. So you'll probably notice that this video also says stupid, because stupid doesn't just strike once, it strikes multiple times. And I am, as I said in the last video, I am no exception to the rule. I am probably the rule, what the rule was designed for in the first place. So let's talk stupid. So the last time I left you guys, the thermostat housing was leaking. Not only did I go full stupid by using a paper gasket, I went twice as stupid by stripping out a bolt. Then I realized that I should have RTV'd the thing, blah, 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 blah. So you can go back to the previous video to catch that fun story there. So I got that all taken care of. Thermostat housing is sealed and it's not leaking. There is coolant in the system right now. And I'm thrilled to report that it is, so far, I have not seen any additional leaks. But the other day when I went to go fill this thing up, I was putting water and coolant in it, and I was like, everything was going great according to plan. And I'm like, okay, so I squeezed the lower radiator hose a few times, get some air bubbles out. Oh, that's all great and everything. And I got my yellow funnel all going and everything. I hear a massive coolant leak again. This time it was behind the engine and it's all over the transmission back here. I'm like, what? Thinking, oh, the head gaskets were blown on this stupid thing. I didn't, it's pouring out of the heads. It's got to be, oh, just the worst goes through my head. And come to find out, this coolant port right here where this blue hose is going, I left that wide open. There was no hose there at all. So I take a bolt and I smash it into a piece of hose with a clamp, and I put it over said port and it stops leaking. Okay, perfect. That's great. I missed the port. And so I go back to filling the radiator, and I hear another massive leak, this time coming from the driver's side of the engine. Turns out this fitting right here underneath you can see it right there where the hose clamp is, that fitting right there on the bottom of the throttle body was not hooked up either. So apparently I completely forgot an entire hose. So luckily I had bought a whole bunch of this silicone hose, which if you really look at it, it's just kind of a glorified garden hose, but it's made out of silicone. It's really nice stuff. You can't use regular hose clamps on it, because you will find that it'll rip the rubber, or it'll rip the silicone up and destroy it. This is not really a good example, but it will destroy the silicone part of the hose. So you don't want to use that. So I didn't have any clamps. So I had to run out and get clamps today. And I got them. They're basically worm clamps, but they don't have any teeth. You can see they're like flat, and they don't, like, if you look here, they're completely flat on the inside. There's no like windows on it to push the hose out. So I got those, I slid it on, I blocked off the hose. That's all good. All you Supercharged guys that are out there asking how do you bleed the system, that is the bleed port right here. This is the bleed port. Pull this out just like a regular KA engine. 10mm bolt, pull it out and wait till coolant comes spewing out of it. Then you know that the system is bled up to that point, which is technically the highest point, besides the radiator cap. It is kind of slightly above the radiator cap, so I know that I got coolant in all these hoses. The heater core, I had it set to heat, so the heater core should have coolant in it. Everything should be good to go. I just poured a little bit of water on this to just kind of get the coolant off of it, keep it from, you know, getting sticky and everything. And I do have to make this hose look a little prettier. I'm gonna zip tie it up so it's not sitting on the valve cover or anything. So, stupid 1, paper gasket. Stupid 2, stripped bolt. Stupid 3 comes in 2 parts. Didn't put this hose in, leak here, finally got the hose, finally got the clamps. Can I consider the cooling system done now, please? I mean, it looks cool as hell with all this blue hose going all over the place, but it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't run. But, yeah. I'm going to declare the cooling system done. I haven't heard a leak. I haven't seen a leak. I haven't seen anything other than the water that I spilled on it. I don't see anything going, I don't hear anything going on the floor. Nothing along those lines. Nothing's leaking from that hose. It's just the water that I poured on it. So I'm going to declare the cooling system on this stupid thing done. So the fuel system is done. The cooling system is done. The electrical is done. The clutch is plumbed. Everything's in place. Here's the collector for the headers. This goes on the driver's side. I had the O2 sensor bung welded into it in the original place. So now all I got to do to make this fit properly is I've got to notch a little bit of the transmission cross member out just to make room for this flange, because it gets like so tight that you know that if it even, you know, if the engine shifts even a little bit, you're just going to hear it rattle against the frame, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to take a regular grinding wheel and just notch it out just enough to make room for this. And then the other half of it is over here, hanging out somewhere right here. I cut it in half. I probably told you in a previous video. I cut this collector in half because it didn't want to attach to the truck properly. So that's not how it's supposed to be, but that's close enough. So this is the driver's side coming off the driver's side header. This comes off the passenger side header, and then they join, and then they go out to the muffler in the rear. But I cut it, and I'm going to sleeve it. Then I'm going to get it adjusted just the way I want it. Then I'm going to sleeve it, and I'm just going to weld it together. And then I can slide it on and consider it done. I'll run the O2 sensor to that spot. Can I consider this done now? I think that's all that's left mechanically, is to run the exhaust system out. And I purchased a, it's in that white box right there. I purchased a MagnaFlow 2.5 inch glass pack. I have this piping here, which this flange is identical. It gives me a resonator, but I think I'm going to cut it in a way that it reverses it. I've got this pipe here too. I'm going to figure this all out. I've got 2.5 inch pipe, a whole bunch of straight stuff. Figure out how to run it, and it'll run down the driver's side here and probably just spit out either just before the axle or out the side in the back. But we'll get to that point. That's coming up next. But once I get the collector put on and clamped on, I will back this thing out, and I will put a key in it and a battery, and I will crank it. I'll put 5 gallons of non-ethanol fuel in there, and I will crank it, and I will crank it till it starts, because it needs to run at this point. And I'm thinking that it will go on its first journey down the road under its own power. I am hoping mid-June, which is about 3 weeks away from now. I should be able to drive it up and down the road under its own power lightly, just to see what it does. And whoo, 5 years. It's been 5 years. Yes, it's been 5 years. This has been an ongoing project for 5 years. So anyways, that's enough of me flapping. That's what I did. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm going. Like, share, and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment down below. And you can always follow me at Pounding Rocks on Instagram. Thank you very much. Catch you in the next one. See ya.